G'day and welcome to Isol8, 8 Songs of Meaning podcast. Isol8 is about bringing you a unique conversation from a special guest who is a touring artist or touring roadie. I wanted to shine a light on the talented people of the arts to find out some of their most personal musical highlights and the stories behind them. The flow-on effect of COVID-19 has meant cancellations of large music festivals as well as your favourite local gigs. As a result, an estimated 500,000 people in Australia in the music industry are currently out of work. Support Act is a charity that assists financially when the industry falls on difficult times such as this. If you enjoy the podcast today, I encourage you to make a donation if you're in a position to do so. As well as musicians, there are many people behind the scenes who make gigs happen. The sound engineer, the tour manager, the lighting designer and more. They all play a pivotal role to ensure that we as punters enjoy the best possible performance night after night. It's important to remember that these uncertain times will pass. The shows will go on, and these wonderful creative people will get back to doing what they love. So, let's meet the people behind the musical magic. My guest this week is Mark McEwen. Now, Mark McEwen, or Sparky as some people may know him, is a Perth-based sound engineer, producer, tour manager, studio owner and a session musician. Mark has been on the road for more than 15 years and has toured with a number of well-known artists including Tkay Maizda, Holy Holy, The Naked and Famous and Aussie hip-hop legend Drapht. He has played in a number of local bands and has recorded music for many artists including none other than Roger Waters from Pink Floyd. Mark is also a co-owner of Underground Studios here in Perth. Mark was kind enough to give us his time today to share his Isol8, 8 Songs of Meaning. Please welcome Mark McEwen. Hello!
Hey, how you doing?
I'm good, how are you?
Yeah, I'm doing well. I'm excited to be here.
Yes, thank you so much for being part of it. You're my first guest. I'm so excited.
Yeah, that's a lot of pressure. It's a lot of pressure.
No, you're going to kill it. Now, let's get started. Firstly, you're a tour manager currently, you're a producer, you do a whole bunch of things, you've got your finger in all the pies, but obviously due to the Rona, you're at home.
The
Rona. So how are you finding the time off at the moment? It's been probably a couple of weeks now?
Yeah, it has. Well, I got back from Sydney, I think, exactly 2 weeks ago, yesterday. Mm-hmm. So I've kind of been in lockdown. But it's weird. I think it's maybe the last 3-4 days it's starting to hit me of just, I'm a pretty work-driven person, so not having that thing to focus on is, I think everyone can kind of simmer this. It's one way to put it. It's, you struggle to find things to do when you're just like, cool, I could go out for a meal. No, I couldn't. Oh, maybe I'll go watch a movie. No. Catch up with some mates. No. It's, you don't have anything. But hey, that's why we're doing things like this, right? Exactly.
That's exactly why I wanted to do it, so that I could share these wonderful people with everybody out there who's also stuck at home, and also, share, I guess, some stories from the road from people like yourself that have actually been out there, and I'm sure you've got some great stories for us today. I'm pretty excited, I'll be honest. Now, just to get started, the first question that I'm going to ask my guests is, what's your quarantini? Since everybody's either in quarantine or isolation, what's your go-to drink in isolation?
Okay. It's a tricky one. I think you know me well enough. Like, I'm a bit of a Scotch drinker.
Yes.
Love my single malt. So I'd have to go with that. Just Scotch on the rocks. There's always 7 or 8 different flavors on the shelf.
I was going to say, is there something on the rider? Is there one that you, like as a tour manager, do you put your Scotch on the rider? Is there a particular one that goes on there?
I try and sneak it on that. You always have those conversations before tour. You're like, so what do you want me to put on the rider? Who's into Scotch? Yeah.
Hands up.
Yeah. No, there's definitely one tour comes to mind when touring with Katie Steele, and the Whammo Jammos. We had a tour motto that just Jameson on the rider and no hangover.
What did you call it? A Whammo Jammo?
Whammo Jammos.
What's that? So this is the dirty kind of stories that I want to expose. What is this?
It's literally Scotch on the rocks.
Oh.
It's But hey, you got to give it a fun name, right?
Yeah, definitely.
So yeah, that would probably be my.
That's your pick. Okay. Well,
my quarantini.
You're quarantining, yeah. Well, since you didn't ask, mine's a vodka lime and soda, and I've already prepared one earlier.
Very healthy.
So cheers. And have you got your drink there?
I'm drinking a black beer right now. So cheers to that.
Cheers to the Virgin podcast. Alrighty. Now, the next question that I have is, what's your favourite isolation snack or something that you have on tour that's in your backpack, or you can eat on the road, or you can get from the servo because there's nowhere else to eat because it's 2 a.m. and you've just loaded out? What's the thing that you usually chow down on?
Well, I've got a bit of, I wouldn't call it a hack, but I've kind of got a go-to airport food, I guess, which is just straight up boring as hell banana bread. Because
banana bread's not boring. Why would you say that? Banana bread's delicious.
This is the hack. Because think about the best banana bread you've had and the worst. Like, I know they're very different, but compared to other foods, you know, like, it's pretty consistent. Let's be honest. Like, if you're in an airport, your banana bread's your go-to.
Okay. You don't find they're a bit too dry? You haven't ever come across a dry one that's not been sitting there for a few days? Or?
I've sampled all the banana breads, but that's the thing. You get them to toast it up and Bob's your uncle.
That's true. Do they have banana bread in the lounge? That's the question.
Oh, I don't think they do. I mean, no. If you're talking lounge things, it has been exposed before, but I'm very partial to a pancake stack. I
think we need to crack this open for the public that most of the touring musicians, you know, the people that work behind the scenes, they generally will have access to the lounge of whatever particular airline they're flying. And the lounge has, sort of a set menu, I guess you would call it. They sort of have the same sort of snacks, but then they have like the hot stuff, the bain-marie type of stuff. So what's your go-to lounge meal then? So the pancake stack, is that vegan? Are you vegan?
I'm not, but it's less about the food and more about the procedure. See, once you've done it a few times, you get bored. So you've got to fine-tune these things. So there's a pancake machine, right? And you push a button. Yeah. Couple of pancakes.
I've seen this. Yep.
Yeah. Does
it come out, does it pour batter and then it goes, or how does it work? Okay, right, yeah, and then I have seen it.
They kind of fall out the end, so the trick is, you press the button twice, that makes 4 pancakes.
Okay.
And you've got about, I reckon, 9 seconds between each pancake dropping. So when the first one drops out, you have your peanut butter ready to go, and you smash the peanut butter on there. Do that quick enough, and the second one falls on top, so you get nice melted peanut butter.
Gotcha.
So then you hit it with a layer of strawberry jam.
Yeah.
Third one falls out.
Yeah.
Hit it with a layer of Nutella.
Yeah. Oh.
Fourth one falls out as the lid, and then maple syrup on top, berries on top. Done.
This is amazing. But where did you pull the Nutella and the berries from? Do they have them in the lounge? Okay. Life hack, everyone out there who has been to the lounge. Things, right? If you've ever wondered what's in the lounge, now you know there's Nutella and berries and pancakes. Forget it. Everyone's going to have to pay that extra just to get in the lounge and get that. That's awesome. I've learned something. This is amazing. Now, another pre-question before we hit the main questions of the podcast is, how did you and I meet? Now, you may or may not remember, so either I'll tell you or you tell me, and feel free to roast me if there's some hilarious story of our friendship. Please remind me of it.
When you asked me to do this the other day, I was trying to remember that, and I genuinely, no offense to you, I don't know where we first met. There's so many gigs that we would have been at.
You're stabbing me in the heart right now.
So many mutual friends.
That's true.
I mean, I would put it at about 9 or 10 years ago.
Yep. That's about right. Yeah.
Probably would have. Do you know before
I do know.
Wow, I'm going to put my foot in it.
So should I? Okay, no, you tell me what you think, and then I'll tell you if you're wrong.
I'm going to go with it was at a gig.
It was at a gig, yes.
I'm going to go I'm either thinking the Rosemount Hotel or the Amplifier Bar.
Okay, you're wrong. So I'm gonna take the story over from here.
You take it.
So we met at the Bakery, which is it's a venue in Perth that's not there anymore, unfortunately. And you were mixing for the very talented Tangled Thoughts of Leaving, who are a Perth instrumental band. It was their album launch in June of 2011, I think. And I got asked to merch it randomly because I'd just moved back from Melbourne and I ended up sort of just contacting them. I don't remember how, but anyway, they gave me the job and I merched and I met you because you were also on the crew, met the guys, and obviously we're all still beautiful friends because they're wonderful people. So that's where we met.
They're amazing.
Yeah.
I miss mixing that band. Not that, like, they're still going strong. It's just, it's weird times right now. Everyone's busy. But, I didn't get to mix the last show they played because I was over east, but I'm always bummed when I don't get to mix that band.
They are incredible. Yeah, they are. If anyone out there hasn't heard them, Tangled Thoughts of Leaving, incredible band. They're a progressive instrumental band, I guess is what you'd call them, genre-wise. Would that be about right? Would you agree?
Yeah.
And they have a female drummer as well now, and she absolutely blows it out of the park. They all do, but particularly having a female on board, it's just a whole other thing. They're incredible. So, yeah, if you haven't checked them out, definitely check them out. I'll leave some information in the show notes a little bit later. Now, let's kick off these questions. Now.
All right.
Okay. Now, Mark, what was the first piece of music that you ever purchased, particularly with your own money, I suppose, or that you chose, and where was it from? Do you remember?
Wow. Okay. That's tricky because, I remember having music in my life from the moment I was born, but that moment where you use your own money and go and choose something would probably have been... Actually, I bought 2 CDs. Okay. I bought 2 CDs. I was living in Malaysia. Right. I grew up there as a kid, and I remember going down to the local kind of mall, I guess, and I bought Offspring Smash because...
Banger, yes.
Because I had some American friends at the time who got me into that, and I bought the Prodigy's Fat of the Land.
Okay. Now, interesting point. Before you keep going there, Offspring Smash came out in 1994, and Fat of the Land came out in 1997, if I'm not mistaken. So do you recall what year it was that you bought these?
This would have been 97.
Okay, all right. So it was around that time. Okay. So Prodigy, Fat of the Land, and Offspring Smash.
Yeah, which is a weird combination, I know, but...
I don't know that it's that weird. I feel like there's a lot of... Like, Prodigy are a band that really influence a lot of heavy music, so I don't think that they're too far removed there, you know what I mean? But both albums that I absolutely love. If you had to pick a song off each that you loved the most, could you choose one?
I don't know if I'm going with favorites here because I'm a big album person. Like
Same. So am I. Yes.
Yeah, we've had this conversation. I like listening to records. I'm still that old fuddy-duddy who does that. We both are.
Yes.
But the big ones, obviously, like the first time you hear Firestarter, it's just...
Yes.
I remember, and it was probably on the radio at the time quite a lot as well.
Yeah.
And Offspring, you can't go past, Come Out and Play. I mean, again, that's just a party anthem of, when you hear that, drum intro and you're just like, that's... Totally.
Yeah, I'm with you on both of those.
People are still doing that. They jump on a kit and they're like, I do that thing with the hi-hat, yeah. It's never going to go away.
Love it. They're great choices. Were they, I'm going to assume they were both CDs? They weren't tapes?
They were CDs. Okay. I did have tapes. When you asked me, I was like, I did have the first Slipknot record on tape. And I'm like,
wow.
Maybe, I think it was just that weird time around 96, 97 where, there was still a rack of tapes and a rack of CDs.
Yeah, that's so true.
So you just bought whatever was cheapest because you didn't really have a bias at that point.
That's true, yeah. When you're 10 10 trying to buy something for a record store. What can I get with my $5? Cool. All right, next question. What was your first live show or gig that you ever attended?
Okay. I'll give you two.
Okay.
The technical one, as in the very first concert I attended, as far as I know, was Duran.
Okay, so I guess the question could go two ways. I guess what was the first one that you got dragged to and what was the first one you chose, I suppose? Okay.
Yeah, cool.
All right, so Duran is the one that, did your parents take you? Or?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So we were in Hong Kong at the time and I went to a Duran concert. I was probably 5 or 6.
That's impressive. And do you remember a song? Like, was there a song there that you were like, I love this song?
I genuinely... I hate to say it, I don't know Duran. Everyone knows Girls on Film.
That's a banger.
Yeah, everyone remembers the film clip, especially if you're,
I'm just imagining it in my head. 2 minutes later, Girls on Film. I probably sing the lyrics wrong, but yeah, it's a banger.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's okay. Second one, again, it is hard to pick. I'm sure I'll get it wrong, but look, the first mosh pit, let's go with first mosh pit I was ever in was Pantera.
Yes. Yeah. I love this.
It was, picture this though, I was a little punk kid at the time in a metal mosh pit. So I did go to the concert with like spray paint blue hair.
Hot. I love this.
And just in the middle of like all these huge dudes with hair down to their waist, just eating their hair and just like...
I can actually smell, like, I can smell the smell of the dirty mosh pit and the men with the long, greasy hair and their shirts off. Do you remember where this was and what year it was?
Yeah, okay. So that was at the Perth Entertainment Centre. It was on the Reinventing the Steel tour. So I reckon that would have been 2001.
The record came out in 2000, so that would be about right. Yeah, for sure. Perth Entertainment Centre's not there anymore, unfortunately. Another venue that's rest in peace.
Yeah.
And any Pantera song that sort of takes you back to that gig?
Well, yeah. Like, I mean, seeing as it was Reinventing the Steel, like Revolution's My Name was the big single off that.
Yeah.
It's,
Dang.
Everyone can just hear, like, Phil just like, yeah, it's... I'm not going to start screaming on webcam.
No,
it's gonna
I feel like everyone needs a bit of Phil Anselmo in their life. And like to the listeners out there, if you don't know who Pantera or Phil Anselmo is, I really feel for you, and you need to you need to change that.
Where have you been?
Yeah, where have you been? All the songs are going to be listed in the show notes as well. So, and I'm going to make there's a Spotify playlist as well. So, if we all want to check out the songs at the end of the podcast, we definitely can, and that also helps the artists, which is the main game of what we're doing today. Next question, Mr. McEwen, is who was your biggest influence when you were younger musically? So this could be maybe a parent, a friend, a cousin. It doesn't have to be necessarily like a musical idol. Who was there that influenced young Marcus?
That's a pretty easy one, actually. Because my mum is a huge lover of music and a self-proclaimed, sort of saw all the 60s stuff happen and was like bought every, Beatles single that came out as they came out. And she still has them somewhere, and I'm going to steal all those 78s.
I was going to say, has she got the vinyls?
Yeah.
She's
she's got the singles.
Okay, well, when Wendy's not home, we may need to break in.
I would put it down. Like, I remember as a kid, like, even being strapped into a car seat, like, doing the school run, taking my sister to school. Like, I don't know how old that makes me, but I remember hearing the Beach Boys was a big one as well.
Yeah, my parents liked them too.
The Beatles, Cream, just all those kind of... She was probably more of a rocker than a kind of flowery sort of thing. You know, she loved the Jimi Hendrix. She loved the Rolling Stone, like that sort of stuff. But Beatles,
she's got great taste.
Yeah. That's why I'm such a big Beatles fan.
Awesome. So you chose Eleanor Rigby as your sort of song that took you back to that moment? Yeah.
I did.
Is there a bad Beatles song? I feel like they're probably the best. Would you say that they're the best known, pop writers globally, that people respect them as being so...
Yeah.
I mean, is there anyone that comes close to it? I'm trying to think.
I think in popular music, no. And in the recording field, no. And what they pioneered for the recording industry, what they did for live concerts, they basically, as everyone knows, they broke the mold on every scale in terms of pushing innovation, as well as not being able to tour anymore because they couldn't. It wasn't technically possible at the time, and they didn't enjoy it and couldn't hear themselves, and
I think that's the other thing. I mean, when you think of touring and hysteria, fans, I feel like there's no other band that people would think of than the Beatles when you think about the craziness that followed them around. That just doesn't, nothing comes close to it, I think, in the modern day, really.
Yeah.
All right, so we're going to move forward now to some more recent things. Thank you for the walk down memory lane, because that was very interesting. But I want to know now, what's been your favourite tour moment, or just favourite tour that's happened? Hang on, I better read that question back. Sorry. What was your favourite?
So good. This is the first one.
Yeah, I know. Forgive me, everyone, for fucking that up. Is there a song that brings back memories of your favourite tour or a favourite touring moment? I do apologise.
Okay, yeah. Ira, so a particular song, memories. There's so many, like hanging out at the pub afterwards, or like driving. But I think as part of the show, like sort of walk-on songs are really fun.
Yes, I love this.
And so I guess I've done a couple of national tours with Drapht now. And there's sort of a song that really sticks out there, and I guess there's a lot of memories associated with that, because you could be on a really big show on a festival stage where we might get to do that track, or we might be, we've recently done places like Alice Springs and, out in the middle of the sticks in various places.
Wow.
And you might be in a room of, people who don't get to see live music that much. But my mate Paul, the man Drapht, he knows how to pick a banger. So we generally kick it off with Hilltop Hood's Cosby Sweater.
Love this track.
No one really knows how the show's going to go. Everyone's waiting for stuff, and you just drop that track and crank it. And it doesn't matter if it's 200 people or 10,000 people.
Yeah.
You're going to get the room warmed up real quick. And lots of memories of that. When I hear that song, I'm just transported back to standing there just like, cool, all right, it's go time. I
actually looked up this song today, and it's actually came out in 2014, which blows my mind, because that's actually 6 years ago. I feel like it came out last year. And
really?
Yeah.
I think it should be older than that. I reckon.
Oh, really?
In my mind, that song's been kicking around for ages.
I feel like it was just a couple of years ago. But yeah, I looked, it was like 2014. I'm like, where did the last 6 years go? Anyway, I do love that track. How does it start? Is this the one that goes down, 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 down? Yeah, I like it. That's a good one.
Watch me do my thing, and then you just see the crowd just be like, "Oh shit! Oh shit!" Yeah,
I'm lucky enough to have seen Drapht with you playing drums, actually, and he was amazing.
Let's not even talk about that.
You were great, you know it. All right, next question. Fanboy or fangirl moments. Who is your most favourite band that you've toured with, and what's one of their songs that you love?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. When you hit me up and said this would be one of the questions, maybe I struggled for ages, and then I was like, you know what,
because you can't pick favourites of like your favourite people.
Yeah, I'd be shortchanging all the people I love and also shortchanging myself if I tried to pick one.
Yeah, fair enough.
So straight up, I cannot. Like, I love touring. I love spending time with people. I love the people I've met and got to know.
Yeah.
And I feel like every tour, you don't approach that being like, oh, I wonder if this is going to be better or worse than the last one. You just, it's what you do. But I think I got asked to work with Broods a couple of years ago and did a really big Australian tour and New Zealand tour with them, and amazing people. I
got to admit, I had never heard of this band until you started working with them. I know they're from New Zealand. They, I guess they're a pop band. Would you call them a pop band?
I think under the broader heading, yeah.
Okay, yeah. So I didn't know much about them, and then I checked them out after you started working with them, and I was like, actually, they're bloody incredible.
Yeah, they're really. I like their songwriting. I like what they're trying to do. It's that, I think they've gone through phases. When I jumped on tour with them, it was for their most recent records, and I think that was a little bit of a restart for them. Yeah. Well, not a restart, but kind of a shift in direction of maybe chasing the music they felt a little bit more personal with, rather than that first sort of, all right, let's kind of go a little more pop than maybe we feel comfortable with, or I mean, I don't want to speak on behalf of anyone, but and it was that record. I'll pull a track off that because I remember I didn't have much time going into that tour to prep. These things happen a lot. You get asked to do things, and then you're probably on another tour taking up all your time, and then you go, cool, I've got some days downtime. And I remember sitting on the plane to go over east towards the first show. I was mixing monitors for that band. So I'm just on the plane listening to the whole set list over and over again and making all the notes, just like, cool, where are the effects cues? What am I going to do? But one track in particular, which was a track called Falling Apart, I just, it's probably one of the more down moments of that set that we toured. It's just such a powerful song, and the chorus has this crazy vocoder part that the first time you hear it, you're like, that sounds a bit weird, but it's so endearing. I just fell in love with that song. So that was one of those moments where, every night when that song was on, and the way they do it live, in my mind as well, just gave it this whole new life. And it's just, you feel privileged at that point to just be like, yep, I'm just, in there, riding along with them on this journey. You can, from my position, on monitors, you can see how the crowd reacts, and you can just see that lower moment where they bring everything down in the set and then build it back up. You just see that journey and that emotional release. And
so when you say monitors, for the people at home, that's on stage monitors. That's what you mean, right?
Yeah. So I do. Yeah, we all. So front of house is what the audience hears. Monitors are what the band hears. So
so you're on your side of the stage, right?
I'm side of the stage, and I'm making sure that all the musicians on stage can hear exactly what they need to.
Yeah.
And so I like mixing monitors a lot. I like mixing front of house a lot, but monitors is, to me, a little bit more connected and personal. It kind of feels like you're like in the trenches. You're like, okay, cool. You're not like this kind of battle commander, like just being like, cool, well, I'm doing my thing out here.
Yeah.
But, the band could be 100 meters away. Whereas, your monitors, you're in the thick of it. Yeah. And that's really fun.
That's cool. Well, I think the people would have learnt something then. They wouldn't have known what monitors were before just now. So we're so educational as well. Now, my next question is, now, if we talk about what bands you've played in, I know of the Siren Tower, which is probably the band that I've spent the most time listening to that you've played in. But I know before that you were in more of a, would you say a rock band, alternative band? What would you have called your previous band or bands?
Yep, any of those things. Yep. I'm
trying to remember the name of it. Was it anti something?
No, that's another friend's band you're thinking of. I played in a band called Nyx a long time ago. We were all very young, and Yeah, I mean, my best mate was the drummer of that band, and is still my best mate to this day.
Cool.
Like, I still look back really fondly on that. Where are you going with this? You're digging. You're digging.
No, I'm not digging. So what I was trying to get at is that usually, I guess, your chosen genre that you would play would be more of a heavy genre, more of a rock genre, right?
I guess so, yeah.
Okay, so if you were going to share with the people today an absolute banger that is not your genre, what song would you choose?
Okay, absolute banger. I think, working as a touring person, as a live person, but also as a studio person, like, I mean, people, that classic question, what music you're into? You can never answer it. I don't think many people can, but I am the sort of person who totally gets off on variety. Like, I really can't just settle for one thing. I'm not that person. So, like, trying to come up with a banger outside of my genre seems weird because I don't have one. Like, I mean, I love the most straight up pop if it's a good song. Yeah. As much as the most brutal instrumental weird stuff you've heard.
That's so true. Today, you made a smoothie to animals as leaders, just as an example.
I did. But I'm rediscovering a guy called Bernhoft.
I've never heard of this guy. Now, all I know is that he's a Norwegian multi-instrumentalist guy who spent some time living in Brooklyn in New York. But that's about all I know. The song that you've chosen is called Visceral. It's off a 2017 EP that he put out called The Morning Comes. So where did you find Bernhoft, the Norwegian guy?
The Norwegian guy. This was one of those things. I think a good buddy of mine, Morgan Bain, who's also an incredible musician, songwriter.
He's a Perth guy as well, yeah.
He's in Melbourne these days, but he's... shout-outs to him. He's launching a new project under the name Eli Green Eyes.
Okay, we'll put that in the show notes, everybody, so you can check out Morgan as well, because he's awesome.
Yeah, but he... I think it's kind of a weird story because I think he might correct me if I was wrong, but he probably found Bernhoft somehow because people probably likened his voice to Bernhoft or vice versa. Okay. But we were in a tour van... probably with Drapht, actually, because he actually session plays for Drapht. And he was like, you got to check out this Bernhoft dude. And we all just fell in love, and then since then, I was just like, I have to go and listen to the whole back catalogue. Like, I have to discover where this guy came from and listen to everything he's released. And that EP in particular is a favorite of mine. And Visceral was, I distinctly remember driving. We were in Tasmania and we drove up to Mount Wellington. Yeah. This was probably some random time, like September, October. We were on tour and we were like, let's just drive up to the top and have a look at the view and see what's up. And we got to the top and it was like there was snow on the ground in Australia.
So where was
This was probably maybe August or September. This isn't just in Hobart.
It's freaking freezing down there. Shout out to our Tasmanian friends.
Yeah, and it was amazing. We got to the top and we were like, holy shit. And just, turned into 5-year-old kids and started just throwing snow everywhere.
I'd expect nothing less. Go on.
As you would. But this song was kind of playing in the van around that time because we just all I think it literally may have even been released then, to be honest.
It was 2017, so if that makes sense.
That makes sense. That makes sense. So it was just like, man, when that chorus drops and then the post-chorus with this beautiful chord movements and you're like, wow, okay. Nice. And I would call it a banger. You're not going to start raving, but when you hear that chorus drop, you cannot help but get a stanky face.
Okay, so it's not a traditional banger.
It's like, oh, goddamn.
You start to feel that groove. You just get into it. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's awesome. All right. Our next question. Now, you've obviously spent a lot of hours in a tour van, either driving or sleeping.
Usually driving.
Yeah.
I like to drive.
Yeah, you're
a control freak.
Yeah. Like most tour managers, I'm sure we're going to discover this over the term of the podcast. So my next question is, what's your favourite tour van tune?
Okay. That I inflict on other people?
Well, yeah. Probably, yeah. Something that either everyone loves or everyone just goes, oh, what is this shit?
Yeah. I think recently, sort of thinking about what we've been listening to driving around the tour van, I've been pushing this guy called Anomaly on everyone.
Okay, I had never heard of this when you gave me your list of songs. I've looked up that he is a Montreal-based guy. He's classically trained in the keyboard. He's a producer. That's about all I could sort of find on him. How did you come across Anomaly?
You know what? I genuinely think it probably was just a music streaming service that rolled on randomly, and I was like, what the hell is this? Like, I may be wrong, but yeah, like when people try to just ask me to describe what Anomaly is or what he does, I kind of liken it to being like, cool, take what Flume does, aesthetically, tonally, and production-wise, but then get a little bit more like trained music nerd on it. It's kind of like Flume for nerds.
I love that description. We should let Anomaly know. He can add that to his bio. Flume for nerds.
Yeah, it just, I love hearing a good musician, and he can obviously just slay the keys, but it's, in that genre specifically, a lot of it is played and programmed, or, not even played. It's, still incredible, but it's done via MIDI, like drag and drop, click and play. But you can hear his playing on this stuff, and it's super modern, slick production. Yeah. It's super banging, but you're like, there's a guy slaying all those parts. Like he didn't.
Yeah, it's just him, right? That's what I read.
As far as I know. Yeah. Like you've probably done more research than me. I just listen. I just consume.
Yeah, just the old Google.
So yeah, I mean, he did 2 EPs back to back called Metropole and Metropole 2, and yeah. I'll happily listen to those 2 EPs in a row just to start the driving, because it is just the perfect driving music.
Nice. The track that you did select, I did ask you to select one track, was a track called Daybreak by Anomaly, so I'll be adding that to the playlist, which was a standalone single that he put out in 2017. Yeah,
it's just so stanky. So good. I'm starting to learn about my own taste by doing this podcast. I'm like, I seem to be leaning towards stuff that just is like, okay, I like head boppers. Yeah,
I got to admit, you and I have spent a lot of time together listening to music, particularly lately, and I mean, I feel like I put on a wide range of genres, and every single time you'll find a beat in it, and because actually I think people wouldn't know this about you, but you too are a multi-instrumentalist. You can play piano, you can play guitar, you're magic. You can sing as well. You have an incredible voice.
That's a big call. That's a big call.
Well, everybody should know that Mark did a feature with some friends of ours and sung the Maynard part in Passenger, which is a Deftones song, which I'll also put in the show notes because it's an absolute banger. But Mark, I think you should have been a drummer, and I think you know that drums is a part of you, because whenever we listen to music together, you seem to find the drum part so quickly, and you'll start tapping on stuff and making all these sounds. And I'm always impressed that you're able to pick it up so quickly.
I definitely should have been a drummer, let's be honest.
Yeah. Now, moving into our last question for the podcast today. Now, given that we're in these Rona filled times where everybody's kind of alone, feeling isolated, and I guess especially for people like yourself who are, I guess, out of work, unfortunately, due to everything being cancelled, it's a difficult time, and I mean, I've struggled with my own mental health issues, and I'm just a regular person who, luckily, I'm still able to go to work. But when I think of all my friends who are out of work, and I think, some people have families, some people have mortgages, it's a scary time for a lot of people that I love, including you. And I hope that there's music that you guys turn to that either pulls you out of that or gives you some strength to sort of go, you know what, this isn't going to be forever. Is there a band that you turn to that gives you that strength?
That is probably one of the best ways to to intro any question. You're a natural, B.
Oh, thanks, Dad.
No. Yeah, this was the hardest question I think you posed to me, because I think I connect with what you're saying wholeheartedly. Like, I don't think there's many musicians who wouldn't say that music is just something they have to have and have to do, and can regulate your emotions, or can facilitate your emotions, or can facilitate being able to communicate emotions you can't verbally. And so, this was hard. I mean, that's been music for me for, as long as I can remember. Is, if you are feeling down and you're conscious of that and you want to do something, the first thing I will do is just go, cool, I have like an arsenal of songs to just kind of get me out of a mood or put me in a particular mood I want to be in, Excuse me. It's, something we all do before shows as well. You might want to actually get into a dark place or that sort of stuff if you're going for a particular performance or in the studio as well. It's not always just about brightening. It can be about getting into a headspace. But I did struggle, but I'd have to go back to Mute Math, who are a band I've loved for many, many years. Yeah,
this is a band I think I'd heard of, and for some reason I think I was confusing Mastodon and Mute Math. I think just they both start with M. I don't know why they're completely different bands.
That's not the first time I've heard that.
Oh my God, really? Okay, I don't feel so bad then.
Don't know why, but...
Well, I did look into them. They are a psych rock type of band.
Sometimes.
I'm probably getting it wrong. They're from New Orleans, so they're a US band. That is literally all that I know about them. So the song that you've picked is from a 2006 self-titled album. So what was the song that you went with from Mute Math that's your strength anthem?
I picked a song called Break the Same, which lyrically is actually very simple. It's not that kind of long sort of narrative thing that gets you to the end of the story. It's literally a lot of, we all break the same. And that's really just a sentiment that I like to remind myself of, I guess, in those moments. I think there's so many different sort of strength anthems which can sort of just pull you from a place, but I guess you know me as a person, and I think for myself I like to ground myself and just remember to be appreciative and remember what I have. So in those dark moments, it's kind of comforting to just have that sentiment of, what, everybody goes through a million different things. They're all very specific to the context, but at the end of the day, we're all humans. We have that human struggle. We have to try and navigate this crazy thing called life, and we do all break the same. And it's just, it's such an uplifting song from that standpoint. And even the vocal delivery in that song, it just starts wailing on the end. And I guess I listen to a lot of music that has a particular vibe to it, and I think a lot of people can relate when I say, if you are in a down mood, you don't generally just want to put on a happy song. It's more about sitting in that emotion. Like when you're down, you want to put on a real heart-wrenching sounding thing to suit your mood, but then hopefully in that process or in the message of the song, you do find that uplift, you do find that strength, and you do find that empowerment. And that's definitely a song that does that for me.
Oh, that's amazing. That's a great place to start to wrap it up. I did have a couple of rapid fire questions, which I wasn't sure if I was going to put this at the start or at the end, but I'm going to do them anyway. I'm going to throw them at you. And
sure.
It's one of those. I don't want you to think too much. I'm just going to throw two different sort of artists at you, and you just got to pick one, just like that. Okay. So don't go. Okay.
Do you know how indecisive I am? Oh my gosh. Okay.
You can just try. There's only...
I'm going to try real hard.
I think there's 8. I can't remember how many I did. There's not that many. Okay.
Oh my. All right. Shoot.
Ready. Oasis or Blur?
Oasis.
Good choice. Metallica or Pantera?
Oh, I feel like that's so related to the other one, but you know what? I have to go Metallica just because they've had more influence. Okay, go.
Okay, Kendrick or Kanye?
Kendrick, man.
Yeah, I agree. Biggie or Tupac? You're picking a gang here, so be careful.
Let's go Tupac.
Oh, badass over here. Katy Perry or Taylor Swift?
Taylor Swift, for sure.
Really?
Yeah.
Any quick reasoning behind that? You prefer her music?
Yeah, I think I prefer what I know about her, and that's nothing against Katy Perry. I just don't know anything about her. But yeah, very little knowledge on either. But definitely, let's go with.
Okay, 2 more, and they're both Australian vibes, sort of.
Shoot it.
AC/DC or Cold Chisel?
Chisel.
Oh, gotta love a bit of Ian Moss. And lastly,
dude, I idolize Mossy. Like, come on. I'm sorry, Angus, but
on a highway. What a banger. Mm-hmm. Okay, last one. Crowded House or Split Ends?
Crowded House.
Oh, okay. And what's your favourite Crowded House song? Because they're my favourite Australian band ever.
There's too many bands.
Oh, I know, but if you just... Okay, what comes to mind if I say what...
Okay, give me a 50-50 between two then.
Of songs?
Yeah, go on.
Oh.
I'll put you on the spot for a second.
Jeez, all right. Well, I'm going to go with singles so most people will know them. So Distant Sun or Better Be Home Soon?
Better Be Home Soon.
Oh, see, I want to pick Distant Sun.
Yeah, I just, like... The Finn Bros, you can't mess with that.
You can't fault with them. Somewhere deep inside, something's got a hold on you. Oh, they're so good. Once, this is a funny story that I'm going to tell. With an old boyfriend, I made him do this Great Ocean Road. You know the Great Ocean Road in Victoria, obviously. Yeah. It's like a 6-hour drive from Melbourne to Warrnambool. And I made him do this tour where we went on this small bus to drive the whole Great Ocean Road. And it was me, him, and a bunch of tourists. There was some Chinese people, some German people. There was about 12 of us.
Yeah.
And the driver made... I wouldn't call it a mistake. I'd call it a fantastic idea to let me control the music in the bus or the van.
Mistake! No.
Actually, I don't... Yeah, no, they let me choose. And they only had, CDs. And Crowded House was one of them. And I was like... So I popped the Crowded House on. It was the greatest hits, so that's always good. And I literally sang the whole album the whole way back to Melbourne, which I thought, everyone in the van was loving it. No one said anything. They were enjoying the fact that I knew every single lyric, and, all the nuances, all the little harmony parts that Tim and Neil do.
You need to go through each one.
I feel love. All that sort of stuff, right? Anyway, we get back to Melbourne, and me and my ex had the biggest argument. Well, he started it. He was like, why did you have to sing the whole way back? And I was like, I was educating the international people on the greatest Australian/New Zealand band of all time. You're welcome. So rude.
You're just doing your service. That's
what I thought. But anyway, he didn't appreciate it. Hence, we're
breaking up
let's
now. Be honest. You'd never shy away from what I know of you, Bianca. You would never shy away from educating someone on the spot. On
music, definitely not. I would
on why they need to listen to you sing a song at them.
We'll delve into this on other podcasts about how many times I've been backstage and subjected people to my my version of songs and interpretive dancing, but that's for another day. We'll wrap things up now, Mark. I just want to say thank you so much for being part of this, for being my first guest. You've been incredible. I've really, really enjoyed it. I've learned something. I've learned more than one thing. I've learned quite a few things today. The stories are great. I'm so appreciative and just wish you, a really peaceful journey for the next few months, that it's not going to be, too hard and too difficult, because, we are going to get through it. I'm there for you, you're there for me.
Yeah.
And, yeah, I mean, hopefully this brings out creative sides to everybody, you know. They can put their energy into other good things.
I think it's going to be really interesting. I mean, yeah, it's crazy hard times for our industry. You know, it's the first one to fall, so to speak. But you know, I do hold a lot of positivity for how we all bounce back from this.
Yeah.
And yes, you know, maybe some of the venues won't be there anymore. Maybe some of the companies won't be there anymore. But there's going to be a lot of stuff to jump straight back on, and you know, hopefully there'll be just a fresh, driven approach to that. There'll be fresh blood, and there'll be, you know, or new blood, I should say, not fresh blood.
The other thing I think is that these people, like people who work in the music industry, particularly, like not just the musicians, but people like yourself, they're generally very resourceful, resilient people, because in your day-to-day role on tour, you're thrown so many things. There's all these juggling act of stuff that you've got to manage day-to-day, hour by hour. So, yeah, I feel like everybody will bounce back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we'll be okay. But like you say, it's all about supporting each other right now, and that's the most important thing.
That's right.
Just keep the spirits up, check in on all your mates, check in on your musician and roadie buddies. And
that's right.
Well, everyone in your life, to be honest.
Yeah, that's a great place to end. Thank you so much, Mark.
Thank you, Bianca.
Thank you, everyone out there, for listening. We really appreciate it. And share and review and, let us know what you thought. And, I'd love to hear your feedback. Stay safe, everyone. Lots of love. Bye.